Hello, and good afternoon. Happy Saturday, everyone. Welcome to the BGOC and IMANEE Excellence Awards or Excellence Scholarship presentation, announcement, talking. This is going to be a conversation. Let me say that. There's really no scripts or anything like that. We are just here to just present and celebrate these young ladies and the awesome job that they did applying for these scholarships. But I'm not going to talk too much. I am Monica Britton West, as you can see, of monicabritton.com. And my partner, my collaborator, my mentee, one of my very first mentees, and one of the reasons why monicabritton.com, I've said it before on my platform, why it exists, is here. Lauren R. Jackson, Esquire. Don't forget the ESQ, please, and thanks. Lauren, join us.
You know, we're still in this virtual space, so muting and unmuting is still a struggle. But yes, I'm so excited to be here with you, Monica, with Black Girl on Campus, Monica Britton West, all the wonderful things that we are doing, and to present our inaugural Excellence Scholarship Awards. And so this is an exciting day. We have wonderful young ladies that we cannot wait to present to you and tell you more about. As Monica said, this is a conversation because at the basis of both of our companies is just the empowerment and upliftment and elevation of Black girls. And so you're going to see firsthand kind of what we do and how we're going to support these young ladies moving forward. And with that said, Monica, if you want to give us a little bit, I know you talked about Black Girl on Campus, but what is it? Tell the people. I know your platform knows, but we've shared it to the IMANEE page, so let us all know what it is.
Had to get the unmute together. So as Lauren said, yes, thank you for sharing it on the IMANEE page, and I will be sharing it a bit in a second as well on my personal page. But I wanted to first say, before we really get into it, if you are watching, thank you for joining us. Please be sure to give StreamYard permission so we can see your comments, so we can drop them in, especially when the young ladies come on and we can show them, they can see them in real time, like the celebration and the congratulations and all of those things. So please do be sure to give StreamYard permission to see your comments. So as stated, I am Monica Britton West, and I had to pull up because I said earlier there's really no script, but I just didn't want to forget anything. So I had to put some notes here to the side. So you might see me looking to the side, but I am Monica Britton West. I am an edupreneur, yes, edupreneur and conversation architect. Shout out to my friend Gigi who gave me that title. And through my business verticals at monicabritton.com, I help African-American girls and young women own their power that they already have. It's not about necessarily empowerment because you already have the power. So it's about owning what you already have as they navigate the path to college as first-generation college students. And as first-generation college students, I call them Black Girls on Campus, or BGOCs for short. And what I have going on, what I'm all about, what I do. I have a podcast on campus with Monica Britton West. I am starting season 2 in September. I'm really excited about that. It's on wherever you listen to your podcast, but like Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pandora. I think I got them all. Also, my programming includes PATH curriculum. Plan, Act, Target, Happen, and that serves African American girls in high school, grades 9 through 12, who will be first generation college students. You'll see a little line here. First, hashtag first, which walks with African American young women who are first generation college students who are on campuses across the country. And Lift as You Climb Development, which is where I work with African American young women who are graduated college already and they're out here adulting, getting first jobs, want to transfer, get a new position at their company. Am I doing the right thing professionally? How do I pivot? Because I've pivoted a couple of times professionally. So I invite everyone to join me over on my website, monicabritton.com. You can join my e-community on the on-campus community, and where I hop in your inbox weekly with scholarship information, internship information, just tons of important information that first generation college students need. And you might be wondering, well, why are you talking about first generation so much? Because that was me. And I stumbled and was very confused in a lot of ways. And I don't want another young Black girl to be in that same position. Certainly, the information I share is universal, but my real focus is helping young Black girls who are first generation college students not have the same issues and challenges that I had. So that's who I am, Lauren. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share that. And what's going on over at IMANEE? What are you all about?
Yes, awesome. I'm so happy you said it. And just a little caveat. I know you mentioned earlier that I was one of your mentees, but I want to kind of, expand on it a little bit. So I met Monica when I was a sophomore at Seton Hall University. So I was already in college, and we met through a collegiate collective connection. And she has been the mentor, all the things that she does through BGOC. I'm so happy because it's what she did to me just off the strength of our mentoring relationships through that program. And so she's about that life. And so if you have someone in your life needing some support through college, especially Black girls, given the time that we're in, please reach out. And so in terms of IMANEE, we are an organization dedicated to the elevation and development of Black girls, right? And so our target primary group is 11 to 17-year-olds. However, we do have a carve out where we also bring Black women and honestly women of all walks of life, right? And so while our primary target is Black women and Black girls, anybody can walk through the doors of IMANEE. Literally, that is what we are here for. But we also want to empower us because we need safe spaces. The beautiful thing that IMANEE has now developed into is, like we like to say, we're the intersection of Black girl excellence, visibility, and healing. Because as someone who personally knows what it means to not only empower my leadership side, I also had to heal some things that the young Lauren didn't necessarily have. And so I stand in a space for the mentorship that I wanted when I was a young girl to provide it to those who come through our program. In terms of what we have going on in IMANEE, one of our biggest components is what we now call our YES program, which stands for Young Excellence Sisterhood. And it is our mentoring program that we work with girls right now every other Thursday. We come together, we talk about topics such as self-esteem, confidence. Who do you want to be when you grow up in life? Does the path have to look like what somebody told you it should look like? Developing and finding your own voices. And then we get into the mental health piece, right? Because a lot of our young ladies, it's a different time. Right? Like I didn't grow up with social media. And so there's so many outlets and other avenues and influences that these young ladies are being exposed to. And so we kind of come in with mentorship opportunities with our resident therapists, who I see Miss Crystal Davis in the chat, because we know that there's so many influences on young girls that we want to stand in the space of reminding them that they, in their existence, naturally are enough. And so we are excited to watch the continuous development of IMANEE. I think, like anything, the pandemic has shifted us to a completely virtual space, which honestly is awesome because we've been able to reach girls across the country. And so we are excited to continue to do that and expand our programming. And expand our programming is what brings us here today, because funny enough, this date last year, we put out into our community that we wanted to begin a scholarship fund in partnership with BGOC. And so for anybody watching, today is National Giving Black Day. It is the largest day of donations to Black-led, owned, and servicing nonprofits. And so we are in the midst of it. And so I can put in the comments if you would like to support the work of IMANEE. We are a 501c3 recognized organization, which means all of your donations are tax deductible. We are in the midst of it, and it is because of the community support on this day last year that we are able to give to okay, to $1,000 scholarships to these young ladies. And so this is what we do. This is where we are. And so this year, our goals are to expand all the fundraising that we do today. Will go on to expand our scholarship. We are hoping next year maybe we can give out 4. Actually, let me caveat that, because when you speak things, they come into existence. So next year, IMANEE will be celebrating our 10-year anniversary. That is no easy feat for anybody in the nonprofit world. So if we can give out 10 scholarships, great, right? But it is all because of the community support. And then we're also launching our therapy fund because, as I said, mental healing for young girls, especially young Black girls, is something that is important to us. And so here we are. But with that said, let's move into this program and why you are all here to celebrate these wonderful young ladies. So Monica is the StreamYard guru, and let's come on.
I want to thank a couple of my friends I see in the chat who have joined and are just going crazy in the chat and just here to support. Gigi, thank you. Thank you so much. Reverend Gates, Sora Gates, thank you so much. Crystal, I saw your sorority sister Lauren here as well. Tawana, I saw you. Thank you all so much for coming and supporting. And feel free to share this on your pages so people know that it's live and can come through and also support and celebrate our winners. So I guess we will. Lauren, do we want to bring them both in, or do we want to do one at a time?
We can bring them both in. Let's make it a conversation.
So everyone, please, the reason we're here, please welcome Ms. Jasmine Johnson. She is a first-generation college student, and she just started college. She needed to go out of her dorm, actually, so she could do this and get some good lighting for us. Jasmine, she will share just a little bit about herself, what school she's going to, all those good things. And then also Ms. Marissa Pittman, who is a sophomore at the Dillard University, and everybody knows what's going on in Louisiana right now. So Marissa is actually not in Louisiana. Thank God she left, but she'll give a little bit more insight on that as well. So bringing them in, Jasmine first, Marissa second, and here they are. Please celebrate them in the chat, in the comments, and as we continue to talk and share. So Lauren, take it away.
Absolutely. So Jasmine, we're going to start with you because you are off mute. So we are obviously here to celebrate you. So please tell the people a little bit about you, where you're from, what school you attend, and some of your career aspirations. I know Jasmine, were you able to?
It looks like she froze. That's okay. First. So why don't you? She's trying to talk. So why don't you try to hit her up so we can get her better, and I will talk to Marissa. So Marissa, I did give a little bit of a background, little bit, just in terms of what's happening right in this very moment with you. But as Lauren stated, was sharing with, was stating for Jasmine, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us where you're from, all those things. How you heard about it? What's your major? Just tell us.
Absolutely.
Of Marissa Pittman.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm so grateful to IMANEE and Black Girl on Campus for extending this opportunity to me. My name is Marissa Pittman. I am a sophomore urban studies and public policy major, mass communication minor from Memphis, Tennessee. On campus, I serve in multiple capacities. Currently, I serve as the Chief of Staff for our Student Government Association. I'm the leader of Blueprint, which is our civic engagement initiative on campus. And I'm also the co-lead fellow for the Melton Foundation, which is an international fellowship that helps students support the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And I've had some experiences interning with some major nonprofits such as UNCF and Civic Nation, which have helped me crystallize my plans after I graduate, which is to promote systemic equity and sustainable change through policy by obtaining a joint degree, my JD, and then my master's in public policy. And that's just a little bit about me. I'm excited about this celebration today and looking forward to the conversation.
Awesome. Okay, so you know I had to come in on the JD piece. So, I think we may have lost Jasmine. So Monica, just whenever she is able to come back in, we can bring her back into the conversation. So Marissa, we're gonna chat a little bit, right? Because you just listed all the amazing things that you've done. So talk to us a little bit. What was the catalyst for you to go on the path that you decided to do, especially with the political side of things?
Well, that's a long story, but I'm going to try to make it as brief as possible. One day I was sitting in the middle of a student council meeting, and I went a little bit of background about me. I went to a high school that's extremely diverse. People talk about it as like the gem of Memphis, a microcosm of the city. And that's something that, we pride ourselves in. And once I was there, I realized there were some problems that our school was facing, but my classmates that looked like me weren't there to talk about them. But we all were dealing with these issues, like, teachers who are discriminating against us and all of those things that need to be addressed. And so I realized in that moment, like, there's a problem here. How are we going to say, like, we want equitable decisions, we want these decisions to be made, but the people who are being impacted aren't there to speak about it? And so from there, I started an organization called Pumps and Politics 901, which to empower young Black women, really young women all over the city of Memphis, later on all over the nation, to be civically engaged, whether or not they could vote. So that means going to city council meetings, school board meetings, whatever engagement looks like to you, authentically being able to do that and make your voice heard. And so from there, I partnered with a lot of different organizations and some city council members in Memphis. And that really kind of struck a chord with me and made me understand the importance of being politically engaged. We're still doing some of that work now and helping young women who want to run. Oh, I see Kalea in the chat. Kalea is our vice president of the Student Government Association. So hi, Kalea. But just being involved however you can. And so from there, I started interning with Civic Nation, as I mentioned earlier, with the All In Campus Democracy Challenge, which is a sister organization to former First Lady Michelle Obama's When We All Vote. And then from there, I just wrapped up an internship with UNCF as a policy and strategy intern, and really focusing on what it looks like for us to support our HBCs in the best way possible. And whether that's policy, whether that's student, faculty, and staff collaborations, whatever that looks like, being able to put those resources where they need to be instituted and saying, this is what we need to do in this moment. So that's kind of how I got my feet into this work.
I love it. And so I think, like you said, it's all about representation, right? And like making sure that what do they always say? If we're not at the table, we're on the table. And so making sure that as early as you can, you get your place in that room. And then you started your own org. Okay. So first of all, 2 snaps for the entrepreneurship. I'm always here for entrepreneurship endeavors. And so now I know you mentioned you want to get a JD, you want to go into get an MPH as well. So little connection here. Clearly I have my JD, but I also have an MPA where I focused on governance and policy. So clearly we need to talk. Do you have an idea of kind of like, do you want to go straight through or anything like that? Or what support you would need to continue to get those degrees?
Well, after upon matriculation from Dillard, I'm hoping to go to the Peace Corps and spend some time there, really just to get an experience outside the United States. I'm really interested in that. I was supposed to go on an experience last year, but the pandemic has shut that down. But nonetheless, hopefully I'll be able to serve in that capacity, and then coming back and getting my joint degree. So that's the plan right now. Things may change, but I'm keeping an open mind.
I love it. I love it. We're going to claim all the things. And so one thing about both of our organizations to kind of connect it to the mission as to why we're here. Mentorship is kind of a big piece for both BGOC as well as IMANEE. Do you have a mentor in your life or anybody that you can identify who's helped you to kind of succeed on this path? And welcome back, Jasmine.
I have a couple of mentors. So one of my first mentors was Tennessee State Representative London Lamar. And she actually for a long time was the youngest Black person, or the youngest person, period, in the Tennessee State Legislature. She's now the youngest Black woman, but nonetheless, she has made a large impact in removing the Nathan Bedford Forrest bus that was in the Tennessee legislature and other issues around Black maternal mortality. So she has really helped me in my advocacy work. I've had mentors from my internships, such as Asia Johnson, who is my supervisor, and just a lot of women who are willing to pour into me. And I think that's really important. Something that Representative Lamar instilled in me is to reach as you climb. So a lot of times, especially for college students, we think, oh, well, we just had internships. There's nothing tangible that we can pass on to other people. But I've learned that there are so many things that I've grown in this matter of time. I know it's only my sophomore year at Dillard, but I've grown immensely. And being able to pass that down to freshmen and other high school students from my high school, say, okay, this is what you need to do to set yourself up when you come to college. And so I've also been trying to give back in that capacity as well, to realize I can do both. I can learn from elders, but at the same time, be able to give back to other people.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And so I know we have Jasmine back, so I kind of want to bring Jasmine into this conversation. Jasmine, can you hear us? I just want to make sure. We know technology these days is a little. I think it's frozen. Okay.
It is frozen.
Okay, no problem. Well, hopefully we can definitely get Jasmine in, just from her application, because I do, want to make sure she gets her shine because she deserves. One of the reasons Jasmine applied, we had everybody submit video. And so Jasmine talked about her desire to become a nurse. Oh, wait, I think we got her back because I want her to.
Oh no, I'm playing around, like trying to make sure.
Oh, okay. And so Jasmine is a freshman at Francis Marion University. And she is interested in increasing the face of Black women in the public health space. More so, not necessarily public health, but being a nurse and maybe one day wanting to become a doctor. I know Jasmine also has. Oh, Jasmine, are you here? It was moving, so I got excited. Can you hear us? Okay, because I was telling a little bit about your story, but you can go ahead and tell the people who you are and your goals and your aspirations. Jasmine, it's on you.
I think she froze again.
I'm Jasmine Johnson. I'm from Greensboro.
Oh.
In Fairfield County. I graduated from Fairfield Central High School. As she just told y'all, I attend Francis Marion. I'm a freshman. I'm majoring in.
Sadly, she's freezing and she's going in and out. That makes me sad.
It makes me sad too. She has such a wonderful story.
It really does. You gotta love tech, don't you?
Right. So I'll try and fill in a little bit. And so she is majoring in nursing right now. Like I said, she does have aspirations to want to be a nurse and eventually become a doctor and go back to her hometown to support that, because she is from a small town in South Carolina that often needs this support medically from people that look like us, right? Because like I said before, representation is a huge thing. And we know while we have made some advances, we're still not where we need to be. The other beautiful thing about Jasmine's story is she's very interested in also giving back to the community. So one of the questions that we asked on the application was not only how you are going to succeed and who's poured into you, but how do you intend to pour into others? And essentially, how as a Black girl, you're going to impact this world. And so Jasmine discussed a business endeavor that she desires to have called Chat with Jazz, where she gives space to other young ladies her age or younger to speak about issues that may be pertaining to them if they feel like they don't necessarily have a voice in their own home environments or in their school environments. So she wants to cultivate that community to let them know, hey, this is a safe space. Talk to me. I can talk to you about some of my life experiences. We can talk to each other about how we can support each other during our life experience. If we don't know the answer, how can we help each other figure it out? And so what I think we may do, Monica, because we are having some technical difficulties, maybe we can try and get Jasmine to kind of record a little bit of the video that she provided for her essay, just so, we really want the public to celebrate her as well, because she is more than deserving, because she is also a first generation college student, which is very huge, right? So she is setting a new course for her family. She is setting a new course for those that are going to come behind her. And she is just worthy and deserving of all of the praise. Monica, before I ask Marissa any more questions, because right now Marissa's spotlight is on you, girl. Did you have anything that you wanted to add, maybe for Marissa? Or you had any questions for Marissa that you may have
First, I will say I wasn't behind the scenes trying to get Jasmine's video to see if we could share it, so we could share a little bit of it. So I'm going to hop back into that. But for Marissa, in the meantime, how did you, what made you choose Dillard? How did you get there? And how have you found your experience so far as, going into your sophomore year?
I honestly was not sure where I wanted to attend college during my senior year of high school, and then the pandemic happened, so that really confused a lot of different things. But my mother graduated from an HBCU, my grandfather, my aunt, so there are a lot of HBCU pride in my family. So I finally decided, okay, I'm going to attend the HBCU. It's a matter of which one. And I mentioned that I'm interested in law and policy. So Dillard has a really great pre-law program. It was under the direction of Miss Adria Kimbrough. And she is now at the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. So she's a rock star there, but she also helped me decide that Dillard was the place for me. And once I stepped foot on the Oaks, it was pretty much settled. And so now, my first semester of college, I was actually virtual, and then I transitioned to campus last spring. And from there, I just really learned the importance of giving back to the community, making sure that my studies were my primary focus, and then everything else will flow from there. I'm proud to say I have a cumulative 4.0 GPA, and now I've really been working on, thank you. And also last spring I had an article that was published in Forbes, and from there one of the thank you, one of my professors.
Wait. We can't just bypass the published article in Forbes. Okay. First of all, the 4.0 give us all the things. But Forbes, after I guess you finish, talk to us a little bit about this article. We want to know, girl.
Okay, we'll get to the article. So one of the professors in the mass communication department reached out to me, Dr. Allen. She said, Marissa, you should consider a career in political communication. Honestly, that never came to my mind as an option for me. And so that's just another way that Dillard has expanded my horizon and opened up my mind to new things. And so that's where the minor in mass communication has come in. This semester is going off pretty well now. We just finished our second week of classes. We already talked about, Hurricane Ida and how that's affected things a little bit, but so far, so good. I'm excited to serve or continue to serve the campus community. Now, in regards to the article, it was about that was not last spring. That was the fall. But it was about misinformation in the Black community and the way that'll impact the 2020 election. Because we know a lot of times folks will target the Black community. Even now, we're seeing with COVID-19 information about things that aren't true, in order to, have certain outcomes that they like to see. And so I was really interested in the possible implications of that going into the election, and ways that we as a community can stop it, especially within my generation being on social media a lot. You'll see a lot of things that just flatly are not true, but you don't ever take a moment to stop off of social media and say, is this really true? And so it was really defining the problem for folks so they can understand it, because I found that a lot of times we'll talk about misinformation and disinformation, and people are just not interested in hearing that jargon. You need to make it plain for people. So doing that, and then giving guidance based on things that the FBI had said, and other people in that space, and then providing solutions about ways that we can combat it as a community, ways to spot bots and different things. Because honestly, you might not realize that it's affecting you, but anything that we, see can impact us with the way we feel about certain issues, and ultimately like whether we think our vote even counts. And that's something that I really wanted to tackle.
I think that's awesome because, like you said, misinformation, especially in the times that we're in, where people just share a click of an article without verifying, without reading. And it causes a lot of distrust. And as we see, unfortunately, during this pandemic, that is something that's on a rise. During election seasons, that's on a rise. So, I'm very proud of you for tackling that issue and adding your voice and lending your voice to that conversation, especially as a young woman, right? Because the young people will lead is what they always say. And so you have that voice, and I'm so proud that you're using it. I'm so proud BGOC and IMANEE just gets to be a part of your story, because I already know it's giving president vibes for me. So I'm here for it. And so one of the things, from IMANEE's standpoint, we service 11 to 17-year-olds. And I know you're still young, but if you could go back to maybe your 11 to 13-year-old self, what is some advice you would give her? What would you say to her?
There are a lot of things that I could say to her, but I'll give you my top two. First, I would say be patient with yourself. There are some things that you're still learning, and like don't rush things. Like just value where you are in this moment. This is something I could tell myself now, but value where you are in this moment and just be patient. The second thing I would say is to believe in yourself, have confidence. I find a lot of times like 11 to 13 is that age range where lots of things are happening. A lot of different people are trying to influence you in ways that maybe they haven't influenced you before. And so you need to be able to say, this is what I care about. Like I fully understand and accept and value my self-worth. And I'm not about to let you just tell me anything just to tell me anything. So those would really be my top two. Just being patient and having enough confidence in yourself to really own where you are.
I love it. I love it. I'm communicating with Jasmine, so I think she's gonna try and hop on again. Marissa, is there any way that people can support you? I know you have your organization. I know you're in college, but where can we find you if we, tell us what you need?
Absolutely. So Pumps and Politics is ran also by a few of my other friends, Jasmine Wright and Trinity Johnson. And so we're all in school now. So we're taking a break during the academic year because studies do come first. But you can find us on Instagram, particularly at Pumps Politics 901, all lowercase. Again, that's Pumps Politics 901. You can find me on Twitter at Marissa_Pittman. Quite honestly, I don't tweet out a lot, but I'll share out information, articles that I see. Right now, it's just mostly Hurricane Ida preparation. But also, if you're interested in keeping up with Dillon University SGA, DU SGA, you can just search for us on Instagram and Twitter. But that's pretty much where I am. I'm not typically, honestly, a social media person. I'm more so behind the scenes. Things will happen and I'll announce them from there. But yes, that's how you can keep up with me. I look forward to engage with this community. I've seen in the chat that everyone is so supportive and welcoming. So again, thank you for that support. But yes, I'm just looking forward to engage with the community.
I love it. And so, I know you're in school, so we won't take any of your too much of your time during the school year, but please know we probably have you come speak to our young lady. And then also whatever support as you move into the space of getting your master's and your JD. As someone who has done both of those, you will forever have my support. So please know that I am here, also Team HBCU, because it's the Howard University School of Law for me. So, you can always come on over to Howard when you're ready for law school. Awesome. Well, Marissa, thank you so much. Please, again, stay safe. Monica, we can stay on. I know Jasmine's going to try in so we can, do some conversation amongst ourselves until she comes in. But Marissa, please stay safe. Congratulations once again. You are the epitome of what it means to be an excellent young woman and represent this excellent scholarship well for being the first to receive it. And so I'm so honored to have you as part of our story and to be a part of your journey.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to chat with you all.
Yes.
And yes, please use me as a resource. I'd love to come and speak to the young ladies.
Oh, thank you, girl.
Done. Thank you, Marissa, for joining us, for taking the time, especially in this time of upheaval that you're experiencing, and just hearing your story was just so encouraging, inspiring, and just more confirmation for me and for Lauren as to why it is that we do what we do. So you go on, again, be safe. And we will absolutely be in touch. And please, you be in touch with us and keep us up to speed with what you're doing, what you need support on, because, that's what this is all about. That's why Lauren does what she does, why I do what I do, to just continue to uplift and just support all this Black girl magic that's running around that people need to know about. So thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, you all as well.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So Monica, that was inspiring. I know we have until, I thought we gave ourselves about 1:30. So you and I can talk a little bit, right? Because when you were on as a first generation student at University of Albany, how did you decide the path that you wanted to go on? Like, what was the thing that kind of kept you going to get there?
That's a great question. First, I will say Jasmine is back.
Oh,
so I will answer the question and then I will bring her in. But when I went to Albany, my desire was to be a anchor person, a news anchor. Sitting behind the desk giving the news. I really don't know where that came from. It was, there was a news a woman here, Black. You know what? I do know the answer. There was a sole Black newswoman here in New York. I'm dating myself when I say it. Her name is Sue Simmons. And she was, just very poised, beautiful, shared the news fair, but tough. And I was just very impressed by her. So that's where the idea for me came to be wanting to be a news or journalist, a news anchor specifically. And then that's why ultimately I came to do BGOC and everything that I do under monicabritton.com, because I chose the University of Albany, not having any real assistance, trying to figure out where do they even have journalism? Where is a journalism major? UA did not have a journalism major. So it was like I had to try to start piecing together things that would get me to where I wanted to be. I worked at the radio station. They didn't even have, their communications department was more about how you communicate. It wasn't, media and communication. So communications was my minor, English was my major, figuring it would help me to, write, know how to write better. And it absolutely did. But, being at Albany, I loved it. I loved my time there, but ultimately, did it help me when I graduated to get into journalism? Not 100%, because I didn't take the correct steps to be in the right place. It was always trying to cobble together something. I did an internship, and right now I have a blog post up, and I'm talking a lot about internships and the importance of them. Excuse me, but I did an internship. I did actually two. Stayed in Albany for the summer and did one when I graduated. But both of them were once I graduated. So I did one after I graduated in Albany and then came back home. Couldn't find a job. I did send out resumes, but I didn't really have any experience. So I had to do another internship at another radio station. And it was interestingly at that station that I found my other just passion and what I like to do and what I was good at. And that was marketing. And I learned that through the radio station and working with the marketing director. But the reason why, being at Albany, it was a great environment and stuff, but it was really not conducive for what I wanted to do professionally. And it didn't make any sense in being there. It's a great school, but it just didn't make sense.
But you know what? We can talk about it after we talk about Jasmine, our last little close off too. Sometimes though, there's so much power in things that may not have seemed to be right, right? Like I always talk about powers of detours, that regardless of what it is, though, you still ended up where you needed to be. And so we'll talk about that. But let's bring Jasmine on. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Let me get her in here. Jasmine, can you hear us? We're like, we can kind of hear you sometimes.
Maybe try holding the phone up.
Yeah, can you hold the phone? Just hold it. Maybe that'll help. Y'all have to hear Jasmine's story. That's why we keep doing this back and forth, because she's so amazing.
Okay, so I'm Jasmine Johnson. I'm from Winsboro, South Carolina, also known as Fairfield County. I graduated from Fairfield Central High School. I'm a nursing major. I attend Francis Marion. I'm a freshman here. And also, I love to uplift people, help people. I try to help anybody possible, into making them feel better about themselves, knowing that they have a purpose here, and that not to always feel down, that there's always something new every day, you know. And also, you was talking about journalism. I also took a journalism class in high school, and I really enjoyed it. We wrote for the Fairfield Post, which is a newspaper that only promotes good news in Fairfield County, and I really enjoyed it. And Miss Chisholm was my teacher, and if y'all could find the Fairfield Post on Facebook, I think I really liked it because it was really good, and I really enjoyed it. Like, I like to write, but I don't do it as much as now, but it was something that I always loved to do when I was a little girl, and I really appreciate being nominated for this scholarship. Like, I can't express my gratitude enough. I am so grateful, and that's pretty much about me.
I love it. And so we like to talk about kind of what made us choose our journey. So I know you're a nursing major. Share with us, and the people that are watching who are supporting you. I don't know if you can see the comments, but why did you choose nursing? Oh, we didn't lose her again.
And it appears we are frozen again.
Okay.
Oh, and I'm having the worst time like grabbing her video too.
It's okay. We may have to give Jasmine another day. No, I'm just joking. No, because like I really would love for you all to see her, but I'm so happy she got to share a little bit about who she is and why.
Yeah, she's gone again. She left. So you can just text her and tell her thank you so much for trying. And what I will do is I will be able to pull her video down because I am on my laptop, and it's just getting all the video running is like making it a little slow. So what I will do though is pull down her video, and I'll pull down Marissa's as well. And Lauren and I will be able to share them on their submission videos, so that we can share them on our platforms, and you can see them and congratulate them in the comments once you watch the videos. But I think I wanted, Lauren, we talked before we wrap up, because we have about, another 14 minutes, and we don't have to go to 1:30, but I just wanted to ask, because you asked me, and I really want everyone to know, you had mentioned at the top, when I met you, you were a sophomore at the Seton Hall in New Jersey, and, just your trajectory. And especially, I think it'd be powerful for you to share your law school trajectory and what happened, like how you ultimately gratefully ended up at Howard, how you wanted to be, but there was a bump there.
It was, and so it's so interesting. I never remember if I ever talk about my education journey publicly. So when it came to Seton Hall, it really wasn't my first choice. I was not a first generation student. Both of my parents did go to college, more so but they were first generation college students. And so from their path, growing up, I always saw my parents in school because their thing was just kind of like, all right, listen, we are going to pull ourselves up. We want our child to do better than what we did. And that's kind of my expectation too, right? And so I watched my parents go from the associate's degrees to the bachelor's to the master's. And I was just like, okay, well, I have to do the same thing apparently. Because if you know anything about Larry and Sheila, they were gonna make sure that it happens. But my first choice for college actually was Northwestern, and I always laugh because I always feel like, and my father's gonna kill me, but I always feel like my father didn't think I was gonna get into college, and I don't know why. Because like I did well in high school, but he was like, "You're gonna apply." Like literally, he was like, "You're gonna have all the common apps. You're gonna do all the HBCU common apps, all the city unit, like apply to all of these places," and got into all of these places with a scholarship, right? And so when it came down to Seton Hall, though, Seton Hall was a little bit special in the sense that we went on a college tour, and my father always tells me, he was like, your face lit up. And I knew that this was the place that you had to be. Because for a while, my dream school was going to Northwestern. Like I would never forget the day my dad called me while I was in school, like, they just called. And he was like, I don't know how we're going to pay for it, but we're going to figure it out, because they called and that's where you're going. But then I interviewed for Seton Hall has at the time it was a full tuition scholarship called the Martin Luther King Jr. Scholarship. And it was a student association that I ended up becoming the president of while I was there, but you had to go through an interview process. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier about alternates and detours still landing you where you needed to be. Because I remember I got into the interview and cried at the first question. Literally. To the point that the interviewers were like, do you still want to continue? And I was like, yes. Like, and did the whole interview crying, right? I came out, the scholarship director at the time, Professor Pritchard, who is still very much active in my life, walked me to my father, and my father was like, oh my gosh, she didn't get it. Because he's like, what are you crying for? And I was like, I have no idea, but I just cried. And I was an alternate. I ended up being an alternate. And then, so, I was devastated because, like, y'all can come to Seton Hall in the name of Dr. King. Like, who wouldn't want that, right? And so we were figuring out ways. And then I remember being at Dan's while I was in high school, and they called and said, you know what, we want to offer you a place in the scholarship. And literally, it cured the trajectory of where I was going to go. That is where I learned my leadership skills at Seton Hall. I think I got a little crazy at Seton Hall, where I ended up doing a double major and a minor, stayed at Seton Hall to do my master's, because I felt at that point that there was something that I just had to prove, not to anybody else, but to myself. Right. And so it was my first time being on my own, even though I was born and raised in New York and I was in Jersey, but they were like, no, stay on campus. Like, I learned so much about myself in that experience. Especially being a business major. And if you know anything about the dynamic of Seton Hall, it is a PWI. The support that I had when it came to representation came from my scholarship association. It came from Delta. It came from Black Students, because it wasn't a lot of us. And so we needed each other to get through. And so I would never forget, I was registered to take the LSATs my senior year of college. And this is when, things always used to come easy to people. I didn't open my LSAT book until the week of the LSAT. If you're watching, don't ever do that. Because in my mind, I was like, oh, I mean, I could do this. Like, I'm usually good at all this other stuff. I went into that test and I bombed it. And in my mind, the trajectory was always college, law school. So this was my first detour of like, okay, girl, what do you do? Right? I had no intentions of getting a master's degree, but it was like, what do you do? But again, detours lead you to where you need to be. I was talking to my best friend of law school, and she was like, okay, well, I'm going to apply for this master's thing. They have a nonprofit sector to this thing. And literally, I was like, I'm going to apply, and got in, like, went to the administrator's office on campus. Like, I really want to do this. Because at the time, I always knew I wanted to have an organization. I just didn't know when it was going to happen. Literally, my master's program is the reason why IMANEE was birthed. And so I got to the master's degree program, and it gave me the tools and resources. I was like, you know what? I didn't intend on starting this organization this soon, but this is how the cards fell. Because also in my last years of my master's program, I took my LSAT again. And then when I did it that time, I think I got waitlisted at every school I applied to. And so I did get into one school in Indiana, and it was the first time. And like, people in my life was like, just go to law school. Like, the only thing that matters when it comes to being a lawyer is passing the bar. Just go. And I was like, I was very good at trusting myself. Something in my spirit was like, you are not going to the cornfields of Indiana. No offense to anybody from Indiana who may be watching. And it was the first time that I had to break away from doing what everybody told me I should do. And I'll never forget the conversations that I had. I think we went out to a celebratory dinner with my parents, because they was like, our daughter's going to law school. And I was like, actually, I am deciding not to. And it was like, what were you going to do? At the time, like, I graduated in a time where the market had crashed, because I graduated undergrad in 2009. So here I am with a college degree working as a store manager at Crumb's Bake Shop. Then I have this master's degree that, like, okay, I'm still working as a store manager at Crumb's Bake Shop, but I'm building this organization now, right? But like, there were no jobs in the business world, and that's what I got my degree in. And so finally I knew law school was always going to be a thing, but I ended up getting a paralegal certificate after I did my master's at NYU, and was able to fight my way to get into getting a paralegal job at 2 law firms. And so the last law firm that I was at, I took the LSAT again. This time I took it with a class, like, was working all day, going to the paralegal thing, then going to this LSAT class, running IMANEE on the weekends, doing all the things. But I was determined to get into law school. So yes, I took the LSAT 3 times. I applied to Howard. This cycle, I applied to 2 schools. I applied to Howard, and I applied to a school in New York. Applied to Howard early because at that point I was like, oh, I'm going to Howard. I think I took a bus after I had quit my first paralegal job, because I was getting a new position. I said, I'm going to get on the bus, and I'm just going to go see Howard. And when I saw Howard, I was like, this makes sense. This is where I'm supposed to be. Took the LSAT again. Applied to Howard to try and get an early decision, because the plan was I'm going to have a decision by my birthday, and my birthday, we're going to turn up. Didn't work out that way. I got waitlisted at Howard. So I was like, what the, like, what is going on, right? Like, am I just not supposed to be at law school? That wasn't the case. Ended up getting into the other school with like a half tuition scholarship, right? Howard came back the day that I sent my seat deposit to the other school. Howard came back and said, you got accepted. At this point, I was prepared to stay in New York. My family was prepared to stay in New York. I was in a relationship at that time. We were all prepared to stay in New York, but something in my spirit said, what are you going to do? And I walked away from a half tuition scholarship. Lord help me. But I knew Howard was where I was supposed to be. And it turned out to be literally the best decision that I ever made in my life. And I think what I learned about the process of getting to law school is it's truly delay never means denied. One, you have to decide how bad do you want it? Because some people probably would have gave up after like 2 rounds of taking the LSAT, because if you've ever taken the LSAT, it is ridiculous. Like, it's a crazy test. It's fine, right? But something in my spirit said, no, this is what you were meant to do. And Howard was where you were supposed to do it. And so I stuck with my guns, and I ended up at Howard. I was like, listen, y'all had me I was on a wait list again for something else, and I got to come in here, and I got to show you, like, you should have picked me the first time, right? Ended up doing well enough my first year that I got scholarships, while we had merit-based scholarship based on your performance. And so ended up getting scholarships for my second year, my 3L year, based on how I performed. And went on to do amazing things at Howard. I argued in my first case as a law student in the civil rights clinic before the DC Circuit, where Merrick Garland, who is now our U.S. Attorney General, was presiding over my case, going against a major corporation, right? I think at that time, nobody had done that in years at Howard. And so I did. Went on to get other awards, was Student Bar Association president, like did all of these things, right? Because I was determined, like, this is where I was supposed to be. Now the journey after, when I graduated from law school, went on to clerk for a judge, went on to work for a firm. I think it was the perfect place for me because it set up for my job where I am now. So I'm back at Howard University School of Law, working as the director of career services there, right? And I'm right where I needed to be. And I would not have known that if I didn't trust myself through the process of getting to there and being determined and crying sometimes to the very people in this chat and Monica about why this is not working. But it was like, no, when something in your spirit says this is where you're supposed to go, you make it work. And that's what I did. And I'm excited that we can see the same resilience in these young ladies that we just spoke to, right? Like, no matter what life throws at you, you have to determine how bad you want it and just know, like, you're going to get there. It may not look like how you thought it was going to look, because trust me, it's not looking like how I thought it was going to look. But when you move in excellence and when you move in conviction and when you move in confidence, the doors will always open when they're supposed to.
And it is literally right on time. We have like 1 minute because we really want to respect everyone's time who jumped on today and keep it to an hour. But I am so glad, Lauren, that you shared your story and the transparency of it, because, the 3 times taking the LSAT, the not getting in where you really wanted to go, those are real happenings. Obviously, those things happen for real. And for people to see someone like yourself, someone like me, who they think are together, to know that the steps to get together and not slow down, because not really 100% together, but like to get together are long, winding, stumbling. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't fall from the sky. It's Crystal said in the chat, I'm going to put it back up again. Like, yes, resilience. Like, that's what it is. Staying true to your gut, what you know you need to be doing, what you're supposed to do, and walking in that path. And be it from Seton Hall to stumbling into an MPA, and from it coming an organization that's turning 10 years old next year, or having a 10-year anniversary. It's like, I love every single solitary second of the story. And I just wanted to just thank you for inviting me, MonicaBrent.com, BGOC, into this event, to be able to distribute these scholarships, to partner on this. It has been a wonderful experience. When I started BGOC, after much delay, you can read my story on my website, and after much delay starting BGOC and now MonicaBrent.com and everything that's come under it, when I finally started in 2017, it was like, I never thought, I don't want to say I never thought, it was like, and I'll do, at some point I'll have a scholarship, I guess. I am going to do some sort of a scholarship, and to do not 1, not 2, but 3 in less than a year of really fully 100% looking at it. Because when I started in 2017, I was working a job. I was working full time. And gratefully, within the last 10 months or so, I listened to my gut, let go of my full-time job to do this work 100%, giving all of my energy to it. And to have been able to do 3 scholarships in this time frame has been an amazing blessing, something that I didn't expect. I gotta, obviously thank Lauren and the original scholarship that will be coming out in January of 2022. Is in the name of my mother, the Dorothy Pearl Jones Britton Scholarship. Thank you to my friend Martin Berrios, who was the reason and the push I needed to launch that scholarship this year in 2021. And the young lady that won, who's going to the University of Florida. I mean, this has all just been like such an amazing year. So I think that at the end of the day, the takeaway is, listen to your gut, move in what, because only you know what you're supposed to be doing, and move in that space. Don't let the voices, no matter how persuading they can be or who they are in your life, because you only have one life and you have to live for yourself. And I just need to say, because you threw Delta out there. So I am a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. And also shout out to our Lauren's, and I worked with her as well, but her publicist, Maven Media Management, Miss Danielle Flowers, who is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I list off all this D9, just all in it, D9 women making moves. But that's my end comment. I don't have anything else to say. Lauren, close us out with whatever it is you'd like to say.
No, thank you so much. I ask that everybody be safe. I know the weather is a little tricky, and so we thank you for this celebration. One day we will be back in person. Till then, wear your mask, do all the things, and thank you for tuning in today.
Bye.
Bye.